Hello, everybody. Thanks so much for joining in for another podcast from Complete Sports Media. I'm your host, Darren Campbell. Well, this is going to be another exciting episode as usual. Today, we're going to be breaking down many sports with our resident analyst, Jason Cameron. Jason brings in an amazing perspective on many sports, and it's always a pleasure welcoming him into the Complete Sports Media coverage studios here. And Jason will touch base on NFL, NBA, boxing, UFC, and many other subjects. We've got a lot of things to discuss. A busier weekend in the world of sports, a lot of things that have happened, and as well as other leagues still working on trying to get back to some action. So yeah, this is going to be really fun. Let's bring Jason Cameron into the mix here. Hey, Jason, how are you? Great. Thanks for joining me.
Hey, thanks for having me along. Doing great today. Doing great.
Today it's you and me, or we're going to break down this latest UFC card. Another Vegas card, heavyweight fight to be the main event. Curtis Razor Blades against Alex Drago Volkov. Really great fight. Blades, looked super dominant. 15 takedowns in the fight. Amazing main event. What do you think?
Yeah, Blades basically just showed his superior grappling skills and wrestling throughout the entire fight. Volkov, a little bit surprised that he didn't work on his takedown defense as much as I thought he should have, because that was definitely where Blades would have had the advantage over him. But again, got to give all credit to Blades. Blades looks incredible in that fight. Ridiculously dominant. He was just on point with all of his takedowns, and he was positionally stable on the ground at all times. Really didn't give Volkov much room to get up or move or anything. So
yeah,
it was a very, very, very dominant win by Blades.
Yeah, it sure was. Yeah. So what I've been told is that he's has to wait in the wings. There's obviously the Daniel Cormier, Stipe Miocic heavyweight trilogy fight, and then Francis Ngannou gets the winner of that if they don't both retire, and then whoever can win out of that. I guess Blades gets his opportunity. So he's on the shelf for a little bit, but he definitely didn't disappoint, and he's moved himself right up to getting a title shot pretty soon. So yeah, it was very impressive performance.
Yeah, definitely very impressed. And obviously he's earned that shot with such a dominant win over such a dangerous opponent as Volkov is. And I look forward to seeing how, whatever way this plays out, how it does play out for the heavyweight division. Because as we know, Cormier is this is going to be his last fight, but then it could be Stipe's last fight too as well. It's going to be quite interesting to see how both of them react once said fight is done and over between the two of them. So
yeah, that fight's coming up August 15th for fight fans. We're really excited about that, and we're going to break that down a lot more closer to the match. But why don't we just talk about it briefly? Who do you think? Who do you see coming out of that fight? When the victor?
For the Cormier, oh man, it's going to be close. It's going to be a dogfight like the last two fights were. I guess I can't say a draw, huh? No. I don't know, man. It's going to be tough. You know what? This is what I'll say. I'll say that. Man, I'm probably going to be wrong. I think Stipe. I'm going to go with Stipe. I'm going to go with my man Stipe. He showed me a little something more in the second fight than in the first, which was he does have the ability to overcome. But he's always had the ability to overcome. But Daniel Cormier is a little bit of a different. He's a different athlete in there. He's one of the best, one of the top upper echelon. So, but Stipe has shown that he can match and overcome him. Maybe he can overcome him again, or maybe Daniel Cormier. Like it is such a razor thin battle between those two. Like it's just one mistake done by one, and then that could be the advantage needed for the rest of the fight. So, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'll go with Stipe. I'm going
Okay,
to go with Stipe. I'll do
nice.
Stipe. But what about yourself?
You know, I think DC's probably going to pull it off and ride into the sunset. I think it being his last fight, he knows it. He wants to go out as a victor, raise his hand, and put the gloves down in the middle of the cage and walk away. I think that's that motivating factor for him that I think it'll push him over the edge. And yeah, that'll be fun. I can't wait to see it a couple months from now. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna really show who's the best of all time for that division.
Yeah, man, the baddest man on the planet. I guess we shall see August 15th. I can't wait. It's going to be, as we both know, it's going to be one heck of a war. That's going to be one heck of a battle.
And the only other thing that is, in that heavyweight upper echelon is Alex Gustafsson has announced that he's moving up to heavyweight, and John Jones has been rumored that he wants to go up to heavyweight and fight Ngannou. So if both those guys come in, it really opens up the heavyweight picture at the top and makes it even more interesting than it already is.
Oh yeah. Those two are really good. Obviously, as we both know, they're really, really good. I'm very interested in what John Jones is going to look like as a heavyweight with the extra weight and stuff. I'm interested to see if he'll still have the same speed and mobility as a heavyweight. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Okay, well, sticking to this last weekend's card in Vegas, the co-main event had Josh Emmett against Shane Burgos, and it had fight of the year written all over it going into it, and it didn't disappoint in my opinion. It was a fantastic war, 3-round decision for Emmett. Yeah, he should look strong, but Burgos looked really good too. It was a really good battle. What were your thoughts?
That was my pick for fight of the night, by far and away on the card. I knew that both those guys, they don't take backward steps. They go toward their opponent the entire time. I was a little bit worried in the beginning of the fight, in all honesty, because it looked like Emmett suffered some sort of knee injury on the way that he kicked out his left leg. So I was like, oh man, I hope the fight isn't called because of that, or he can continue the fight, which he did. And what a battle it was. My goodness. Shane Burgos has one heck of a chin on him.
Wow.
He ate some shots that, any other fighter would have been knocked out, gone, done. And he just kept taking those shots repeatedly throughout the entire course of that fight. And the difference was, I think Emmett had the heavier shots. That's why he won. But Burgos always came back with combinations. So it was great fight, very, very close. But I think Emmett won it on his ability to just throw out the bigger shots. I think his shots had more emphasis, obviously, especially knocking Burgos down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's already talk that he might face the winner of Kattar Ige and give himself another chance at moving up the ranks, getting close to a belt. Obviously, that division has Volkanovski and Holloway having their rematch and deciding who's the champ moving forward there. There's definitely some contenders between Burgos and Emmett, but those guys definitely both put on a really good show, and I think it should impress the UFC brass and get them bigger and better fights as we move on.
Oh yeah, most definitely. You put on fights like that. Dana White loves that stuff, man. So if you put on fights like that, he takes care of those fighters. He takes care of those that take care of his company by putting on great fights.
Yeah,
that's it. That's the agreement.
So there was some controversy that came out of it. Were you able to watch the prelims right from the beginning? Did you see the first fight of the night?
You know what? I don't think I saw that one. I don't think I saw that particular prelim. I think I was able to see the second and on after that.
Okay.
Who was the first prelim?
Austin Hubbard and a newcomer making his UFC debut, a guy by the name of Max Roskopf. And It was a fairly even first round. All the judges actually gave it to Hubbard. The second round was dominated severely by Hubbard. I think the shots, significant strikes, were 46-2. Definitely a big, very dominant performance. The camera went into the corner to listen to what was going to be advice between Robert Drysdale, his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coach and his main coach, and
Okay.
Max Roskoff. And Roskoff said, "I'm done. I quit. Call it, call it, call it." He said, "Call it" 9 different times to Drysdale. And Drysdale kept saying, "No, champ, you can do it. You can do it." I really recommend you watching that, Jason, and maybe we'll get your full opinion after you do watch it.
Yeah.
I'm going to give Drysdale the benefit of the doubt that he just really thought it was a mental breakdown by his fighter, and if he convinced him to get off his stool and go into the third round to face Hubbard, he had a chance. But there's been a ton of controversy over this, and they say that Drysdale wasn't thinking of his fighter, wasn't calling it after he had asked so many times to call it. I've had to watch it 3 or 4 times, and others that I've spoken to have done the same. And I really would like to get your feedback on that again at some other point. But it was really controversial, and it's got a lot of press in the last couple of days after the fight. I personally know Robert Drysdale, and I trust what he says, that he just thought his fighter wasn't in any physical danger. He just thought he had sort of mentally decided that he couldn't do it anymore. But if you talk to him, he could convince him to. So, please watch it. It was, it's definitely, there's been, some controversy recently. Anthony Smith had asked to, step out of his latest fight, and there's been some one-sided affairs recently, and we see it in boxing. You're a boxing expert. You see it in boxing when a guy asks to jump out of a fight. Usually that ends it immediately there. We'll see what shakes down in the next little bit over Drysdale's decision not to call it. And eventually the Las Vegas commission stepped in and said, "That's it. The fight's over." So.
Oh, okay. So the commissioner overheard the fighter say this to his corner many times, and then they called it for him.
I don't know how many times they had heard it before, but I think they went over to him just near the end and asked him if he wanted to continue, and I think Max said no. So
Oh wow, man. You want to think to yourself that the trainer always has your best interest at heart whenever you go into a fight, and if the trainer knows you enough to know that this is not a damaged thing, it's a mental block thing, then he knows that he should be able to reach you so that you can still have that capacity to go back in there and go back to battle again.
Right.
But was there any reports of any like damage that he'd taken from that fight? Like, was there anything where it's like, oh no, his knee was gone or blown out or anything like that? Nope.
No, we haven't. No, we haven't heard the medical reports. Definitely waiting on medical reports from that fight as well as the Josh Emmett fight. Josh Emmett could have blown out his ACL in that fight we just talked about.
Yeah.
So no, unfortunately, no news quite yet. But definitely he was dominated in that round, but I didn't think he was in any danger. So it was quite surprising that that all occurred. But okay. Well, you did see the knockout by the newcomer making his USA debut, Justin James. He just overwhelmed Frank Camacho and took him out 41 seconds. That was impressive.
Well, I get it. I get where he was coming from. I don't think he had a lot of time to prepare for that fight. And so he blitzed him. He just said, I'm just going to go for it and see what happens. And I just thought that was amazing to see, because he bum rushed him. He went right after this guy and took him out. He took him out. I didn't expect it to go that way. I thought you might go after him like that, but then the guy, keeps his composure and is able to get out of there. And now the guy's like, his tank is empty. But he managed to catch him a couple times, and then he put him away, man. It was
Yeah.
a very, very, very impressive win. Very impressive win. So I
Yeah.
look forward to seeing more from that kid. For
Yeah,
sure.
me too. Yeah, definitely. I agree. And then we had a couple Canadians on the card. Marc-Andre Borio fought Oscar Petrota, and he knocked him out near the end of the second round.
Yep.
Very impressive performance with Borio.
Oh yeah, Farrell looked great. He looked great. I don't think there was any point in time for me, anyways, personally, that he wasn't in control of that fight. He was very comfortable in that fight, and he just took his time. And he ended up landing that shot, knocking him out. It was a nice win by Burrow. Nice win.
Yeah. So then the next fight on the card was Tisha Torres. She had a really great performance against Van Buren, and dominated her. She looked super strong and was, really, really in control of that whole fight too. Won it in a decision.
Yeah, and Tisha, we haven't seen her fight for a while. It's like she hasn't been fighting for a bit. So I didn't know if I'd see a lot of ring rust, which I didn't. And she looked great, man. She looked great, and she really took it to that to Van Buren. Yeah, Van Buren, like you could see the difference in quality between the two fighters. Yeah, for sure. So, but hopefully Van Buren, sees that as the setback as what it is, and hopefully she comes back better for her next fight.
Yeah, moving on to Bobby Green. He had a battle with Clay Guida. Bobby looked really, really strong, was able to keep that distance. Guida's just always got the cardio advantage, and he's just throwing so many punches. Hall of Famer, obviously, with that fight with Diego Sanchez years back. But yeah, Bobby Green really needed a win. He hadn't won in a while and had really taken a downturn in his career lately, but he looked strong to me. I really was really impressed.
Well, yes, he looked great. And every time I watch Guida, it's just Mr. Energy. It's just energy guy. It's almost like he's trying to beat his fighter with energy. I don't know. But I was leaning towards Bobby winning that fight, and he did, and he looked great. Hopefully he can now continue, get on a winning streak here. And for Clay the Carpenter Guida, I don't know if that's the last time we've seen him. I don't know actually how many more fights he has left in the tank, because he's fought a lot, but I guess we shall see. But with Clay Guida, at least the good thing is he always puts on a good fight. Yeah. He's always entertaining, and it's always just an abundance of energy, just a mad abundance of energy in his fights.
Yeah. Oh, he's always fun to watch. And yeah, if you haven't seen much of Clay Guida, please find him online somewhere, YouTube or whatever. Yeah, he's a very entertaining fighter and always puts on fun fights. He really just likes to bang and get in there and throw as many punches as he can, and doesn't matter about how many times he gets hit. So
yeah, no, his style is very different when it comes to that kind of stuff. He's just energy.
Sure is. Yeah. Yeah, and you mentioned a lot of fights, long career. Jim Miller is a shining example of that. He was on the next fight on the card. Nobody's fought more than Jim Miller. He's actually tied with Cowboy Cerrone for the most UFC appearances ever. And I thought he was going to have some hard trouble with Roosevelt Roberts, but he was able to take his back and be able to submit him there. That was really classic Jim Miller performance.
Yes, it was. It was vintage Jim Miller. It really was, man. Like it's almost like he went back in a time machine and found himself again. Yeah. Like he found that energy, and he was very slick on the ground, like he always is. And just the way that he managed to take Roosevelt's back like that and put in the submission, it was impressive. It was very impressive. And we hadn't seen Jim Miller do that for a long time. So it was very cool to see him get back into the win column against a very dangerous fighter as well. Very dangerous fighter.
Yeah, he hadn't had a submission win like that since 2014, so it had been a while. But really, really great to see. And he's only 35. He has been in massive amount of wars, but I think he's still got gas in the tank and should be doing really well. Another great fight on the card was Muhammad against Lyman Good. Muhammad looked really confident and really broke him down. I think it was a very even fight. Could have definitely went either way. Lyman Good is a really big guy for that weight class, and just
Yes, he is.
super strong. But
Yeah.
yeah, what did you think there?
Well, I thought Bilal actually had a great plan for the fight, which was keep his movement going from side to side the entire fight, and also too so that Lyman didn't have a chance to really load up on his punches or his kicks. Actually, they didn't really kick all that much, both of them in that fight at all. But Bilal was great in his side to side movement, and when he attacked and took him to the ground, it was always in between where Lyman was punching. So it was a very, very good plan. It was a very focused fight plan on the side of his camp and on him to execute it in the ring. He definitely deserved that win against a very dangerous guy that, to me personally, looked like he was a weight division up. Lyman Good looked massive, but also too Lyman Good was he was dealing with the fact that he lost his father. Always a hard thing to fight under those conditions. And so, in the respect that it is, he fought well. Just unfortunately, Bilal just had a better game plan for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and there's I guess two fights to still break down. They're both female fights. Rocky Pennington had a really big decision win over Marion Renault, who's a veteran. Rocky was being cheered on by Tisha Torres, who's her girlfriend, and lots of tweets were coming in. It must be nice for them to be on the same card and have big victories like that.
Oh, of course. That's great for them. Both of them being fighters and being both on the same card and both winning their fights. So obviously they congratulated and they had a good time after that, winning both their fights. And Raquel looked really good against Marion Renault. Her positioning was solid. Had her up against the fence, used her superior power in that fight to really take it to Renault and win the fight.
Yeah.
And Raquel looked good, really good.
Very good, yeah. And the last fight we can break down on this card that we haven't yet is Lauren Murphy looked really good against Roxanne Modafferi. Lauren Murphy looks in incredible shape, and I think she can go far if she can keep in that type of shape and beat veterans like Roxanne. The sky's the limit.
Yeah, sky's the limit for Lauren. Lauren looked, as you said, she looked spectacular. She looked really good in that fight with Roxanne. I don't want to say that Roxanne's a gatekeeper, but she might have kind of had that purpose with this fight. So I guess we'll see how the UFC matchmakes Lauren going forward in the future. See who they put her up against.
Yeah. Anything else that you think we forgot to mention about this card? Anything that we didn't talk about?
No. Just the fact that I just was super impressed with Blade's win. I didn't think that the fight would go that way, where he would be as dominant as he was against Volkov, because Volkov's a very good fighter, and he just he wiped the floor with him. It wasn't close at the end. Yes, it did go to decision, but it wasn't a close decision by far.
Yeah.
It wasn't close at all. So,
I'd like to just touch on Blades. The only thing that I noticed with Blades that I think he better improve on is his gas tank. He seemed pretty gassed after the third round and into championship rounds. Maybe not enough 5-round fights. He does fight in Colorado for the Elevation Fight Team, so he should have that extra cardio that other guys that don't train at Elevation would have. But that's the only knock I can give on that whole performance.
Yeah, it might have been the extra weight too that was bogging him down, because I believe Blades was almost 20 pounds heavier than Volkov in that fight. So, maybe if he gets his weight down, maybe he should be fighting at 250. Maybe then that would give him the stamina. And also too, when you're taking your opponent down that many times in a fight, you're going to have superior stamina training for that, superior endurance training, because that takes a lot out of you. Takes
Yeah.
a tremendous amount out of you. But, at the end, he still had enough left to finish it off. So,
Yeah.
although, you could see that there might have been some more problems if there was more rounds after the fifth, as Volkov, but both of them were getting tired, though, at the end. So, again, great win by Blades. A
Yeah.
great win.
You're right. You're right. Yeah, well, we've got one more Vegas card coming up this Saturday, June 27th in Vegas at the Apex, before they take a 1-week hiatus break, and then they all move to Abu Dhabi for 4 cards in 2 weeks in July. So let's break down this June 27th card a little bit, and let's start with the main event, Dustin the Diamond Poirier and Dan Hooker. I think it's going to be an amazing fight.
Yeah, it's going to be real good. It's going to be real good because, last time we saw Dan Hooker was in that classic fight against Paul Felder. That was a great fight.
Yeah.
All right, so now that Hooker has gotten his cachet, he's beaten a ton of people, and now, but this is a big test. This is a big test.
Yeah.
Fight going up against Dustin Poirier because he's one of the best in the division. And
Yep.
so you got two of these upper echelon guys. You could say that Hooker is the one up and coming, and then you have Poirier, who's already like a veteran of the sport, a veteran of the game, and it's been at the top for a long time. It should be interesting to see how this plays out because both of these guys can fight each other anywhere, any moment, anytime, round, standing up. I'm sure it's going to be a combination of all those things. I don't think it'll just be a stand-up war. It's going to be a good fight.
Yeah.
Very, very good fight. I don't know who I would take in this fight, to be honest with you. But it's very close.
Yeah, we don't need to put you on the spot for another prediction. That's fine.
Okay.
But yeah, co-main event has Platinum Mike Perry against Mickey Gall, stand-up fighter against the grappler. How do you see this fight shaping up?
I think Mike Perry does what Mike Perry does. I think he blitzes him, and I think he just tries to take his head off. And I think Mickey Gall is going to have to be very slick and very careful with Mike Perry. He's going to have to, during Mike Perry's attacks, find the slip to take him down to the ground and grapple him. Because I'm pretty sure Mickey Gall does not want to do a stand-up war with this guy.
No.
That's probably not in his best interest.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah. There's a lot of up and comers on the card. Hard to break down a lot of people that you haven't seen. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the card. I think typical example. The last couple of weeks, there was a lot of guys making their UFC debuts. A lot of women that we didn't know a ton about, and they've been able to really come in and have some really amazing performances. So don't miss the prelims. Don't miss the main event, main card. Obviously, this pandemic put a lot of people out of the sport for 3 months. We're having an opportunity. There's been a lot of change and a lot of newcomers getting a chance, and they've been impressive. Justin James, a typical example on this card, and many over the last 3 weeks. It's been very impressive. So don't miss the prelims.
Yeah, no, definitely. The prelims are important. It's important to see all the new up and coming blood coming up to in the fights for sure.
So okay, well, let's put the UFC to bed for now, and let's shift a little bit into a couple of different worlds. Let's go to NFL. Dallas Cowboys have been in the news last couple of days with Dak Prescott trying to decide if he wanted to sign this franchise tag tender. $31.4 million. I think I would have signed that the second those numbers came out of their mouth. But he's been trying to decide over the past 6 weeks and trying to put together a long-term contract. They've got till July 15th to sign a long-term deal. But what are your thoughts about him finally saying, "Sure, I'm going to sign this," and going ahead?
I see where he's coming from. Like, he wants the security of a long-term deal. But obviously, the Cowboys are not in that position to give him a long-term deal. It'll be interesting, man, because I think Dak is best served to stay with the Cowboys organization. but he has to be happy if he's going to stay. And so if he's going to be happy, then they're going to have to pay him. So I think there's still obviously time for more negotiations to be happening and stuff like that. I want to believe that they'll get something done to keep him there because their team is set up to win. They got great pieces. They got a great offense. They got a great offense. Dak is still there. I don't know how their offense is going to be if he's not there. So they're gonna work. I think they'll work it out. I think they'll work out something, and I think whatever they do work out will have to be more money for sure. Yeah.
Well, he turned down supposedly he turned down a 5-year, $175 million deal, which would have paid him $35 million if you average it out. That's what Russell Wilson makes, is the highest paid quarterback in the NFL right now. So, I think the Cowboys have definitely offered a fair deal, but I guess asking for more. I guess you want it. What are your thoughts?
Man, I didn't know. Oh man, it's just such a lot of money. It's kind of hard to continue to keep having a man's back when it's just like, okay, man, like that's Russell Wilson money. It's Russell Wilson money. Like, I don't know if there's something else going on behind the scenes. I don't know what's going on there, because if you think about it, which I just did, it seems like that should be enough. It seems like that should be your happy place. That should be an amount of money that makes you happy. Yeah. But I don't. We'll see. Yeah. I guess we'll see. We'll see. We'll see if he we'll see if he stays. I'd like to think that he will stay, because I think the Cowboys have a really good shot this year. But we'll see. Yeah.
He got paid. He got paid $2 million on his 2019 salary. He's been in the league 4 years, and he's only made about a little over $4 million. So he's been really underpaid and really great value for Dallas. They've been able to assemble a lot more pieces around him because of that low salary. And we've seen when quarterbacks sign huge deals like Russell Wilson, they've lost a lot of key pieces to championship caliber teams because they can't afford them anymore. So right. Dallas, if they're going to put all their eggs in one basket and go for it, they better win this year or next because they're going to lose a lot of their depth having to pay a guy $35 million or more.
Yeah, exactly. No, Dallas will definitely have to be sure that they're set up to win within the next 2 years, because then after that they're going to lose a ton of pieces, like you just said, and they're not going to be the same team going forward for sure. Because you definitely saw that drop off when Russell Wilson signed his contract, and then the Seattle Seahawks just were not the same team because of the people that they had to let go because they couldn't afford them.
On the defensive side of the ball, Jamal Adams, safety out of the New York Jets, has said he wants to go to Dallas. He is a Texas native, and he wants to go back there and play with that team. He was caught on a phone cam. He was driving by, and somebody said, "Hey, you're going to sign with Dallas?" And he was like, I'm trying. And it was a pretty funny video to catch this week.
That's awesome. That's awesome that he wants to go with Dallas. Is his contract up with the Jets?
No, not at all. No.
So he's still okay. Yeah. I don't know if he can force a trade like that. I don't know if he's in the position to do that. Maybe he might be, but I don't see that happening. I think Jamal Adams is a really good player. I don't think the Jets just give him up for nothing. No, that wouldn't make any sense from an organizational standpoint on their end to just give away an asset like that. So I think he'll have a very difficult time trying to get to Dallas. But I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think they're going to let him go, even if he's going to be disgruntled, whatever.
Yeah. We'll see what shakes down. I supposedly gave the Jets a ultimatum, said trade me or I'm not playing. He said he's given them 7 teams that he wants to go to, but Dallas is number 1, he said. So, we'll see what happens there. There's a lot of talk that the NFL season actually might get delayed, the start of it now. I think it's on the heels of massive amounts of coronavirus positive tests that have happened in college football. One team had 30 positive tests, one team had 20, and the other team 14. Clemson, LSU, and Kansas State. And Yeah, it's becoming pretty brutal, I guess, in some of these training facilities with some of these college teams, and I think everybody's a little bit scared of it.
Well, yeah, it it's hard because of the fact that, like, especially in the US, every state has different ideas and they have different ways of going about it and they have different plans. So there's no consistency there. And so if there's no consistency, then you it's hard to say who's healthy and who's not, because you don't really know. And so, but now that they're doing the testing and everything, they're finding out that a lot of the athletes aren't healthy. And so now, what's your recourse? What do you do next, to even have the season or salvage the season? Because now those people that have the coronavirus, they can't play. They can't play. And so if they can't play, does that mean what? So you're going to get like replacement players, or you won't actually have enough players to even field a team,
Yeah.
you know? So again, something that is going to be an ongoing thing going forward for all the sports leagues, for every single one of them. And I don't know what the answer is, but they're going to, I guess we'll all figure it out together as we go forward, because it's going to be there, and it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sure is. Yeah, yeah. It's unfortunate that this happened, and I wish a lot of them had been tested before they even made it into the facility, and got those
Yeah.
results before they even showed up. That's crazy that one team could have 30. If this happens in the NFL, it's going to wipe out almost an entire team. And there was some talk today, like if you're with a certain defensive unit, offensive unit, and all of a sudden everybody gets it, all of a sudden, wham! All your starters are out. How are
Yeah.
you supposed to win if an entire pocket of your team all gets the virus and has to sit out for a while? It's something that they're going to have to deal with very, very severely, very quickly, and hopefully everybody gets a lot of ongoing tests before they even arrive now at any of these training camps.
Yeah. I think that's definitely, that has to be step one. Step one has to be, like, you got to get everybody tested clearly to see if who has it and who doesn't, and then just kind of go from there. But like, the teammates hang out with one another. So if one guy catches it, like you said, and he doesn't know that he has it, and then he just spreads it like wildfire throughout the locker room, well, then there goes a team.
Yeah.
Let alone like one side of the offense or the defense or whatever. That your team is done.
Right.
So yeah, and then how would the NFL go forward in the regular season if the Panthers can't play because the Panthers players are sick?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
again, like, yeah, a lot of questions, but you know, we'll see as the show goes on, because the show will go on, but we'll just see what kind of show we get to see
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
Shifting to the NBA now, there's a few things I want to cover in the NBA, but we talked a lot about Kyrie Irving and his player coalition. Do you think last week, did you think he gave a little more of a detailed message on how they want to move forward with all this?
Yeah, he did. He did. He gave a little bit more of an idea of what he wants to do or what they want to do. So it was a little clearer, not by much, but there was more to be said. So that was good in that respect. Um, Now, whether how they implement that going forward, I guess we shall see how that looks. But I'm still a very firm believer in the fact that they should play, and they should use the platform to its greatest ability. Because if you do have that platform, you should use it. It's there to be used. It's not, I still feel very firmly that they should play, and
Yeah.
then get the message across as they play.
I agree. Yeah, I definitely agree. We're going to see a really big development this week. Wednesday, the players, that's their latest day that they can opt out. They can say they don't want to come into that Orlando bubble and just say, no, we're not ready to go. Two players made that announcement today, Trevor Ariza and Davis Bertans from the Spurs. Ariza
Okay.
is with Portland, and Ariza said that he has a 1 month visitation with his son. Him and his ex-wife had worked out a visitation so he could see him in the summertime outside of school. And he said he doesn't want to give up that time. He's got that 1 month with his son booked. They had talked about it all school year, and they were ready for it. And now he said, no, it's my family's worth more. He's going to give up between 1 million and 1.8 million in salary to do that. But he's not willing to sacrifice that month he gets with his son. So it was a nice family move.
Well, yeah, man. Like, and every player will have to make the right choice for them, And if that's where he feels his responsibilities as a father's lies for him to go see his son, then there's clearly nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. The only thing that he's giving up is money, but I think he's already pretty good with that. So, I got no issue with anybody saying, this is the way that my life usually is before all of this happened. This was what I was going to do regardless of everything else, and I'm still going to do it.
Right.
And that's, yeah. Every one of those players is going to be in a different position. There's going to be a lot of players that say, you know what, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to go into this bubble and sacrifice my time with the family. Or there's going to be like, the COVID thing is really scaring me off. I don't want to play. It might be more players than they think. But then again, I guess we'll see. Because, again, when you have the families involved with the players' lives, it complicates things, obviously. And then they actually have to take it into account. So, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, well, I once I heard the reasoning and saw all the details about it, it made me think, okay, the NBA season was supposed to be over about a week ago. It typically ends the second week of June, and people had plans. They had scheduled to be with their kids outside of school. Usually, school ends May, June, and ready to go. Families are there. They have had this coronavirus pandemic time, but there are split families out there, and if you're not able to be with your kids all the time, hey, he doesn't want to give that up. Admirable move on his part. I think that was great.
Yeah, of course. Like he takes his responsibilities as a father very seriously, as every father should, and if that's his time, his specially made time for his son, then you know what? And if obviously he wants to keep that, so then he should, and he shouldn't be forced to not be able to do that. He should have the ability to do that. They all should have the ability to do what needs to be done to the best of their abilities, because of the fact that unprecedented situation and unprecedented circumstances. So, that I think the leagues are more than able and more flexible in this situation.
Sure. Yeah, well, I think that's gonna wrap us up for another great podcast episode here with you, Jason.
Okay.
Thanks so much. That was a great breakdown of so many things, and I really really loved it, and I'm sure our viewers and listeners will as well. Anything further you'd like to say in closing?
In closing, well, I just hope that as we go forward, sports does come back in whatever realm it does, but everybody, is respectful of other people's wishes, and that they do it safely. They do it in a safe way, which I am obviously positive that's going to be a thing going forward. So just as long as it's all safe and everybody is taken care of, and I can't wait to see what happens next.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, well, we'll wait for Wednesday when that NBA opt-out happens. We'll wait to see what the Cowboys do with Jamal Adams, Dak Prescott, and obviously can't wait for UFC Saturday night. So enjoy your week, Jason. We will talk to you next week about same day, same time. Thanks.
Got it. Thank you. All right.
Okay, take care. All right, bye for now.
Bye.
All right, wow, another great riveting episode from Complete Sports Media, and Jason Cameron was our guest. I'm Darren Campbell, your host. Thanks so much for taking the time and joining us. There was a lot we covered there as usual. Hey, thanks again. Really appreciate your time. Hope you've enjoyed this, and subscribe, tell your friends and family, and download the podcast and listen to them. We really appreciate that. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye for now. Love you.